All right. So Argentina has a new government as of late last year, I think December of 2023, and they've been up to a lot of stuff over the start of 2024. They're making some pretty big changes. I'm going to read this article here. This is a Substack article. I don't typically get into these, but this was shared by my buddy Art, and it was a good article. So I figured I'm going to kind of delve into it and talk a little bit about what Argentina is doing and how that could kind of correlate the rest of the Western world. So we'll see. This is an article by Joel Bowman, again, a Substack, A Libertarian Hell. So I've gone through this article and highlighted the spots to read. It's a little bit heavy. It's writing to a certain type of reader that would understand a lot of what it's saying. I'm going to try and parse some of it out, the layman's, but even I had it's a little thick for me even, and I'm pretty good with this stuff usually, but here we go. So speaking at the Catholic University of Argentina yesterday, Luis Toto Caputo, the nation's top economic minister, confirmed that the impuesto pays, a tax that is applied to purchases of foreign services, including purchases of foreign currency for savings purposes and purchases made with foreign cards, will be lowered from 17.5% to 7.5% as part of a series of policies designed to return purchasing power to the free market. This will contribute to lowering inflation, Caputo told the audience of mostly faculty and students from the university's economics department. If we want to do something for those who have less, the most important thing is to end the scourge of inflation. So the announcement came just 2 days after the Milei government confirmed that it will begin rolling back a series of taxes and regulations, including withholding requirements on the National Value Added Tax, the IVA, and the ganancias tax, or the profits tax. The Ministry of Economy, so this part of the article here was actually translated from Spanish, so it may read a little weird, but here it is. The Ministry of Economy announced today that it will eliminate VAT and profit tax withholdings on sales made by businesses and promised that in the next 30 days, there will be new measures to lower the Argentine cost that impacts price levels. The rule, estimated at the Ministry of Finance, will be published in the official Gazette this week and will come into effect in September. In the Ministry of Economy, they told La Nación that starting next month, the AFIP will no longer withhold VAT and profit tax advances from businesses, which are national taxes. There are similar provincial tax regimes. The first rule included in the fiscal package set a limit, which was going to be 11.2 million. However, now they confirmed there will be no cap. So, in other words, they're not going to start withholding these taxes from businesses. They used to cap it, but now there's not going to be a cap of what they withhold. So that should, in essence, start to incentivize businesses to do business and, build the economy. That's the way that's obviously designed to work, and I can't see why it wouldn't. Then on Thursday, the Ministry of Commerce announced the removal of additional company reporting requirements aimed at reducing unnecessary bureaucracy. The national government repealed 3 resolutions that forced different sectors to present information to the state that was not used, with the aim of reducing the bureaucracy that weighs on companies. That's the problem with bureaucracy in any country. It's all the red tape, right? It's like you want to build something, you have to go through 17 permits, and then each permit takes X amount of time. You want to build a house, and it takes you a year and a half to build a house that probably would take 3 months. That's what they're trying to eliminate, all those bureaucracies and red tape to allow free flow movement in the market. In Argentina, obviously, since the economy was so slow and so bad, right? The number of regulations eliminated by the Ministry of Commerce has now risen to 72. So they did that in the 80s in the U.S. Deregulation is supposed to spur the economy, which it started to do, and sometimes it can be bad. There's a whole angle on that, but in this case, they just kind of got to remove all the red tape from Argentina and allow them to start to rebuild their economy. So longtime notes readers will recall that back in December, Javier Milei's libertarian administration inherited the single highest rate of inflation anywhere on the planet, a planet which includes, lest we forget, deadbeat dictator states like Venezuela, Zimbabwe, and the Sudan. From a high of 25.5% in December, down to 11 by March, then single digits in April, May, and June. and a new low of 4% for the month of July. The latest on record is no exaggeration to say the Malay government has brought this long-suffering country back from the hyperinflation brink. So-called core inflation came in at 3.8 for the period. Here's the month-over-month data, so you won't be able to really see this, but here's as we go so this is year over year essentially. So from August of last year, it was at 12.4, September 12.7, October 8.3, November 12.8, and then boom, in December went up to 25.5, down in January to 20.6, February 13.2, March 11, April 8.8, May 4.2, June a little up again to 4.6, and then July 4.0. So it's in the trending down, which is great. Among the items to see the biggest price increases in July were hotels and restaurants, 6.5%, and alcohol and tobacco, 6.1%. Among the items that increased less than the average were food and non-alcoholic drink, 3.2%, transport, 2.6%, and clothing and footwear, 1.6%. Funny, transport's the most important of that because you got to get shit around, right? So restaurants and alcohol and tobacco, that's all like the non-essential, but the shit that keeps people sane. So now the long-term year-over-year trend has also begun to turn, down 8 points since last month, but with a long way to go. Still, it takes time to turn a ship the size of the economy of a country around. All right, so it goes a little bit more into some other stuff, but here we go. So dollar bonds have risen by an average of 45% this year alone, as its Standard & Poor's country risk index fell from 2,900 base points to 1,500 base points, which obviously pretty significant drop. You see by here that you can see that they're starting to get down and align with some of the other countries that are in their sort of sector, right? Which is good. I mean, if you know anything about Argentina in the last bunch of years, their economy was just a nightmare. Venezuela and I mean Venezuela is worse, but Argentina was just, there was nothing coming out of there. There's nothing good. You weren't invested in Argentina, but this could turn the tides for them. So here we go. Stats upgrade. What does that mean exactly? Consider that the average emerging market country carries a risk spread of 700 base points. What might a potential upgrade to emerging market status mean for Argentina? On Tuesday, JP Morgan noted that just such an upgrade from index provider MSCI could trigger nearly $1 billion in investor inflows. So people could start investing back into Argentina, which would be massive for their economy. Whereas nobody would touch it before, unless you were, heavy risk taker, and you were like, well, let's see, we throw a little bit of money into this dumpster fire of a country, and maybe we get a return in 10, 20 years. But now you can see that there'll actually be, good money thrown at it with the economy starting to change. So currently, MSCI classifies Argentina as a standalone market, basically a degenerate outsider. If that were to change and Argentina were invited back into the investable suite of emerging market indices, well, this is from Reuters in London. Argentina's government under President Javier Milei has been on a major reform push and has pledged to move into phase 2 of its plan to stabilize the crisis-hit economy with inflation in triple digits, a deepening recession, and myriad capital controls that skew trade but are in place to shield the peso. If Argentina were to rejoin the MSCI EM indexes, JP Morgan predicted 4 firms would be part of the MSCI Argentina Standard Index: YPF, Grupo Financiero Galicia, Banco Macro, and Pampa Energia, while the MSCI Argentina Small Cap Index would have 11 constituents. This is where you lose me. I don't know when the index is in Argentina, but with an estimated weight of 0.2% in EM, Argentina would stand between Colombia and Peru in the EM index, said JP Morgan's Diego Caladon. If a reclassification materializes, JP Morgan estimates potential inflows could reach nearly $1 billion, including $786 million from the standard index and $176 million from the small cap index. So I've invested in small caps. That's kind of a big deal. I'm sure that would mean a lot of mining things going on there and such. That would be my guess. But and right on cue, here's Andrew Cummins, founder of the Explorador Capital, who told Bloomberg he reckons Argentina could well become one of the best global investments over the next 5 years. I believe that in the next 60 to 90 days, we will see a signal based on the results of a tax amnesty, the outcomes of the conversations happening with the IMF, and the results related to the agriculture sector's liquidation. As we get indications of success on these fronts, I believe the removal of capital controls becomes inevitable. Therefore, even before they are lifted, we will increase our position in Argentina. I'm very optimistic about the prospects for Argentina because the size of the government is being reduced. And with that, we will see the unlocking of human potential. So, so the article is pretty heavily, it's a weighty type of article. It's kind of hard to parse through. But the takeaway from that is all of the movements that this government's been making by limiting the size of the government, by cutting tax, by trying to drive the economy to start to produce again. You've got outside investors from different countries and different capital fund managers, essentially, to take a look again, like J.P. Morgan Chase, to take a look and actually start to put money into or invest into Argentina, which is a massive thing. Obviously, the more investor funds you can get in, the better, obviously, for the economy that they're investing in. So, I mean, hey, this might be sort of the fast forward, or sorry, the fast forward, the preemptive strike on investing in the emerging markets of Argentina for anybody who's looking to actually put some money somewhere like that. You know, if you're kind of worried about what the market's doing here in the West with the U.S. economy and the Canadian economy and even the Europe economy, might be somewhere to kind of hedge your bets.